imagine a lot of you out there who are watching this video and who have watched just videos in general on this channel, a lot of you have mentioned to me that you found this channel back during the Injustice 2 days. It's really awesome to see how many people have subscribed to the channel and the community that we have built on that game. And it's one of my favorite games I've covered on this channel. You know, anticipating all the reveals, speculating about who's going to be on the roster, the hype surrounding the release of the game, all the DLC, Red Hood finally being a part of Injustice 2. I really do miss the days. And don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun with Mortal Kombat 11. There are a lot of things that I like and don't like about Mortal Kombat 1, but for the most part, I'm enjoying my time with these NetherRealm games. With that being said though, you know, we have been used to a formula from NetherRealm. It would be Mortal Kombat, then Injustice, then Mortal Kombat, and then Injustice. But after MK11, they broke the mold. They went straight from MK11 to Mortal Kombat 1. And it begged the question for a lot of people. Are we going to get an Injustice 3 at some point in the future? Is that going to be something that we can expect NetherRealm to be working on? Are you guys going to be scrolling down and hitting the thumbs up button if that becomes a reality? All pressing questions that have been weighing on our minds. Are we going to get an Injustice 3? Now, we don't have a definitive answer, but I will say we have a lot of reason to speculate that Injustice 3 might be in the works right now. And I've been meaning to cover this for quite a while here on this channel, as this isn't necessarily breaking news as of today. But you guys know me, okay? Again, a lot of you have found this channel from the Injustice days. I will take any excuse to talk about this franchise and to just very politely ask NetherRealm, please, can we get Injustice 3? You see, just last month, we got a story from comicbook.com in which the headline reads, Ed Boon says NetherRealm's next game has been in development for 3 years. This is, as they are reporting, an exclusive, with the subject there saying, hopes for Injustice 3 spring forth once again. That's right, Ed Boon did a literal interview here with comicbook.com, I believe to hype up a bit of what's going on with Chaos Reigns for Mortal Kombat 1. That's obviously the newest expansion that dropped into the game, and they're well into it right now. I mean, it launched officially. We got the 3 new characters, Sector, Cyrax, Noob, Saibot. Noob is my favorite Mortal Kombat character of all time. I am actually really happy that he plays so well in the game. He is now my main. I'm having so much fun with the character. And we've still got Ghostface. We've still got the T-1000 from Terminator 2. And then we also got Conan the Barbarian on the way. And who knows what could be happening for Mortal Kombat 1 beyond that. There seems to be a lot still in store for this game. But Ed Boon, when talking with comicbook.com, had this to say. I've said this before, but we start planning the next game long before we're done with the previous game. There's so much prep work, research, and planning. It is absolutely not the case that when we finish the game, we go, okay, what are we going to do next? There's a lot of people that need to be working on something. We've known what our next game was going to be 3 years ago, and we've been working on it in some capacity ever since. And to be honest, there's a lot of information out there for you to have been able to get confirmation of what Ed Boon is saying here long before Ed Boon did this interview. There are LinkedIn posts out there for folks who work at NetherRealm Studios that confirm that they are in the midst of working on and developing their next unannounced game. And to be honest, this is kind of the nature of game development. This is how it all works. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's all hands on deck with whatever NetherRealm's working on next. But what it does mean is that, you know, they have put a ton of resources and time into Mortal Kombat 1. They launched the game. They have now launched the DLC expansion for it. So yes, a couple of members of the studio are probably working on something that has to do with their next project. Like for me, you know, I'm working on tons of videos here on this channel. Obviously, you guys can subscribe and turn on the notifications if you want to stay up to date on all superhero gaming news, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be releasing all of them at once. And to be honest, after this article had come out and after the headline had read that NetherRealm has been working on their next game for the last 3 years, Ed Boon had to kind of clarify, because it got the community a little riled up in that, well, does this mean that they've kind of dropped Mortal Kombat 1? Like, is that it? They're no longer to be adding content for that game? Well, comicbook.com had to provide an update on their article at the bottom here, which reads, Boon has gone on to stress that even though NetherRealm knows what its next game will be, the studio is, quote, still fully committed to supporting Mortal Kombat 1 for a long time to come. So even if its next project is already decided, MK1 will be the focal point of NetherRealm for a while. And I feel like that's kind of the main point here to hammer home. So NetherRealm has known for the last 3 years what the next game after Mortal Kombat 1 is going to be. And in some capacity, they are working on it. However, that does not mean that content for MK1 is completely stopping right here. Like I said, Chaos Reigns just launched. They still got 3 more guest characters to drop into the game. And who knows, if all things are going well, if people are still jumping in and playing the game, if a ton of people bought this DLC, we might even end up getting a Combat Pack 3. But, you know, we know that they're working on their next game. So what could that be? Ed Boon has kind of teased and hinted at and joked about Injustice 3 a lot over the years. And I think it's fair to say that he is well aware that people like myself, and I imagine a lot of people watching this video right now, really want an Injustice 3. And I know Ed Boon is a man of the people. He's got his ear to the ground. He very much likes to listen to the community. So I have high hopes that Injustice 3 could very well be the next game up from NetherRealm Studios. And it makes a ton of sense. I mean, again, they definitely broke the mold with MK11 going into MK1, but I personally believe that had a lot to do with the whole merger between Warner Brothers and Discovery. That was a very weird time, I think, for a lot of WB Games owned studios. There were rumors floating around that maybe the games division was kind of going to get sold off, and all these different studios that they owned were going to get sold at different places. And it might have made sense for NetherRealm to, instead of pivot to Injustice, which just admittedly doesn't sell as much as Mortal Kombat, to instead play it safe and go back to MK once again. Mortal Kombat sells hand over fist. I mean, the game has sold a ton of copies. Mortal Kombat 1 is being reported to have done really well for WB Games. So clearly, if my speculation is correct, it has paid off. And it has shown to Warner Brothers and the people who have now been a part of this whole merger that that games division, that NetherRealm specifically, is a worthy investment. And now that there's this big push for the DC brand as a whole, with James Gunn at the helm of DC Studios, alongside Peter Safran, you know, they're gonna release Superman next year, and they have a ton of projects, a huge slate of things that they want to release to help bolster the DC brand and bring it to new heights once again. Because, I mean, DC, they gotta fight back. Look at the slew of Marvel games that are on the way. Unfortunately, all that we have had from DC as of late was Gotham Knights, which wasn't particularly received well, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which definitely wasn't received well. The Injustice games are pretty universally liked. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying they're Game of the Year material or anything like that, but they aren't critically panned by any sense of the imagination. And if you want to keep boosting that DC brand, this is a great franchise with a really intriguing story, full of a cast of wide-ranging DC characters, and it's a really fun fighting game. You know, maybe if they tone down some of the zoners on this next one, that could be great, but I would really love for us to return to that universe and see where NetherRealm could take it next. So my fingers are going to remain crossed. Again, none of this is officially confirmed. We do not know for sure that NetherRealm is working on Injustice 3 next, but what we do know is that they're working on their next game in some way, shape, or form. It may not be, again, in full development or in a phase where they need to get all hands on deck, but they know what they're going to do after Mortal Kombat 1 is done. And I really hope, please let it be Injustice 3. I cannot wait for the day that it does get announced, because I think no matter what, we're gonna get an Injustice 3 one day. And we're gonna bring back those glory days of 2017 where I imagine a lot of you discovered this channel. So with that being said, let me now kick it to you guys. Sound off with your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think that the NetherRealm game that they're working on next is Injustice 3? Or do you think that they're working on something else entirely? Sound off with your thoughts in the comments. I've been Caboose. I'll see you guys later.